You mentioned Jack Smith. The president was asked about him the other day in the Oval Office. And there's a lot of these guys that did bad stuff. Clapper, Comey, Brennan, Bolton. And there's a lot of question about who's next on the sort of the list. If you had to put that list together for the president, say, here are the bad guys that are really, that should be looked at for potentially doing bad things. Give me the top 3 or 4 that would be on the list that you'd hand over to Kash Patel.
It's great. Let me bifurcate that for a second, because you have Jack Smith and the execution implementation guys, particularly the Lawfare. They're the tip of the spear of bringing Lawfare, bogus charges, witnesses that are lying, all of that. And Jack Smith has got a whole laundry list of that, and they're going to come after him. But then you have the deep state itself. And remember, I was a guy, I said, don't call it the deep state. That's kind of like Turkey or Egypt. This is in your face. I mean, you would sit there, we'd be in the National Security Council, and they essentially just tell us we're not going to do that, right? Or they would bury it in the interagency process, which is the way that the CIA gets everything buried. You have to go. Comey's, he's charged with is just an appetizer, right? The key is to get to the CIA, to get to Brennan, right, which are top my list, to get to Clapper, to get to the intelligence agencies and all their subalterns, to get down into it and get deep in it. I also believe Milley and Esper. Look, when they asked Milley, why were you insubordinate to Trump? Why did you talk to the Chinese? All these things he's charged you with, you've never come back and say you didn't do it, but why did you do it? And they asked it on the deck of the USS Constitution. I think it was Margaret Brennan or Nora O'Donnell when they did a 60 Minutes, his exit interview on the deck of the most revered naval vessel probably in the history of the Navy. And he sat there and kind of paused and he says, well, he didn't support the post-war international rules-based order. And I'm sitting there going, really? Is that your defense of treason is? So you have to go to the heart of the beast, and the guys that are most significant and came up through the ranks and had whole cadres of guys around them and know where the system is and take this thing out and root and branch. That has to be the priority. Bolton is actually in this regard probably more important than Jack Smith. Don't think Jack Smith's not, but he's kind of at, they deliver it to him and then he commits all his crimes and trying to put Trump in jail. He's clearly a bad guy. But I would say in my list, Jack Smith would make the top 10. I got Brennan. I got the whole CIA, all those operatives. I got the FBI, McCabe, all these guys. And McCabe got it. Remember, McCabe went on CNN and said, this is the time around when President Trump won the election. Then I think it was on Aaron Burnett. And she says, well, are you worried? You and your family worried? He says, yes, there's conversations going on behind the scenes of which many people are talking about leaving the country. And I'm sitting there going, yo, dude, if you love your country and you're innocent, why are you leaving and not fighting? So it tells you all the tells from those guys, Weissman and that entire crowd is one of total fear. So FBI, DOJ, CIA, different departments of the DNI, over the Department of War too. You got to get to that, and that's a cancer that's metastasizing. And if we don't do it now, it's going to outlive Pete Hegseth. It's going to outlive Kristi Noem. It's going to outlive Pam Bondi and the team. It's going to outlive Kash. You got to get to that, and that's got to be a priority. And here's the last thing I said at Charlie's Student Action Summit in July when I went through that this was our priority. The most important thing about this, one of the most important things, when we go after that beast and really start to go prosecutorial, hardcore, you're either with us or you're against us. And you're going to see a lot of people that wear the Republican label and draft off Trump voters and Trump voters' money that are going to sit there and do everything to chop block you. Oh, we can't do this. This is too outrageous. So it's going to be a great unmasking. And I think it's very important to get on with it now because I think we are burning daylight.
That's the thing. I think a lot of these guys, big picture, are just trying to tread water. They're basically like, let's kind of outlast 100%. Trump because we can go back to being traditional Republicans and not have to worry about this.
No, Sean, you know this. They think that Trump is a summer storm. He's a violent storm. He maybe even have tornadic activity, but it's going to pass. And all they have to do, and look, there's people in the White House staff like this. There are people in the agencies like this that we've appointed. There's tons of representatives, including the Senate is essentially, besides Eric Schmidt and Josh Hawley, right, and maybe a couple of two others, all like this. They're just tapping Trump along and tapping the Trump movement along and believe that if they can get, past the midterms and Trump finally becomes a lame duck, they're home free. They believe they can see the sunlit uplands. And that's what I'm saying. Jack Smith's important, but going after the beast, the heart of the beast, is very important, because we're going to identify those people right now who are prepared to try to work with the opposition to stop us.
Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.